Good day, my dear friends on our Facebook group. This is our weekly Facebook Live interview, and I'm extraordinarily thrilled to have with us Reverend Barry Ebert, also called Dr. B, like me. And he is a associate minister at Mile High Church here in Denver, and also the former director of the youth department there. And he's been working with this program of Love and Logic for over 30 years. He has workshops, he goes all over the country training parents in how to be with their kids in a very empathic way and in a way that brings peace instead of chaos, you might say. So let's welcome Barry. Hello, my friend.
Hello there, Wanda. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're here with us today. This is always a lot of fun. We get to just explore this fascinating topic of parenting because, over the last year and a half, we've been so isolated. Kids haven't been in school, and I'm sure parents have had a tough time trying to deal with their kids and do effective, kind, loving parenting. So, could you just start by giving us a little background about how you got involved in this and what your journey has been so far?
Yeah, I worked at Mile High Church for many years as the youth director there, and I'm also a musician. Had worked in bands for a long time, played music for kids for a long time too. So those two careers kind of intersected nicely for me when I had my own two sons, and so music and church has been a good connection for me. And while I was the youth director there, somebody gave me a tape of Jim Fay, who was one of the founders of Love and Logic. This was a long time ago, and it was called Helicopters, Drill Sergeants, and Consultants. And the person said, you ought to think about having this guy come and speak. So I did. I had him come and speak to our church, and he was very popular, and I really liked this program. And so I went and took the training to become a Love and Logic facilitator myself, and we kept having Jim Fay and Foster Klein, who were the two founders of the program, come to the church every year. And I kept teaching workshops and just started teaching workshops all over. And it's been a great thing for me. It's certainly helped me raise my boys, but it's given me an opportunity to work with lots and lots of parents. And I think it's really helpful. And even though I've been at it for this long, I still love it. I still love doing it.
Could you give us just a little idea about what the philosophy and the framework of the program is?
Yeah, for sure. So it's called Parenting with Love and Logic, and it's it's based on the idea that kids learn by experience and by example. They learn by experience of just going through life and the things that happen to them, and learning from their mistakes. And they learn by the example that their parents set for them. So a lot of good parenting is good modeling, to realize that we're the most important models that our kids have when we're their parents. And when we're parents, we realize how much our own parents affect our parenting, the way that we were raised, our family of origin, and how that affects our relationships and how it reflects everything that we do. And so healing stuff from the past and getting present with our kids is a big part of it, and allowing our kids to make mistakes and learn from their mistakes. And it's also about parents taking good care of themselves. So what I usually say in the first night of my workshop is the first two rules of Love and Logic are: parents take good care of themselves, and they allow empathy and consequences to do the teaching for us rather than anger and punishment. So we want to move away from anger and punishment, and we want to move towards empathy and consequences. And so that's where we start. And when this program first was developed in the 70s, it was mainly for teachers. Jim Fay was a teacher. Foster Klein was a psychologist and a psychiatrist up in Evergreen. And they kind of melded their two skill sets together and I was lucky to get in just after they'd written their first parenting book, with Love and Logic, and yeah, so that's how I got into it.
Now that's amazing. What would you say now is some of the key issues that parents are having with parenting and with their kids?
Well, I think where we are specifically right now, it has a lot to do with the effect of the virus on our homes and on our culture. And that last year, so many parents became homeschoolers, which was something that they hadn't really signed up for, but there they were. And so that has brought kind of a lot of stress into the home of everybody being closed in together. And the other thing is, I think, how much kids and their parents spend their time online. One of the things I've seen the evolution of electronics as I've gone through many years, and it was just a couple of years ago. I'm telling parents, make sure that your kids look at their computers in open spaces. Always have your computers in public spaces in your house, and watch what your kids are doing. Well, that really changed a lot with COVID and kids learning everything online, and that they were getting all their lessons online and connecting with their teachers. They didn't have books. Everything had to be online. So that's really changed the game. And I think it really calls to parents that they have to be more vigilant about what their kids are doing online. And I think it's also important that they balance online activities with the natural world, if I can put it that way. I just think the kids need a sense of balance, and they're only going to get it if the parents provide that sense of balance and really lead that sense of balance in the home.
Yeah, there's been so much going on right now with Instagram and having problems with young people and their body image and stuff like that. So, I found on the Love and Logic website some things about looking at kids who are at highest risk for escaping into a world where they feel competent, powerful, and liked. And, things like escape from self, a negative mood. Can you speak a little bit about that? How do you help parents realize that their kid is at high risk for getting caught up in that world of negative imaging?
Well, I think when people come to my workshops, a lot of it is about behavior, right? It's about their kids' behavior, and they want to change their kids' behavior. And what I tell them is, it's really a matter of relationship to start with, and then it begins with the parents. And the parents are really focused on their kids' behavior. But what I tell them is, I tell the parents that this is a self-improvement workshop that your kids have tricked you into taking. This is what this is. So
Yeah, I like that.
parenting workshops are about parenting. They're about parents, and what are we going to do as parents? And I think we need to be involved with what our kids are doing. We can't just let them go, well, he's up in his room. He likes playing his games. I don't know what he's doing, but he's up in his room. Can't do that. We can't give away our parenting responsibility and give it to a computer. It's important that we stay in relationship with our kids and know that what our kids are doing, because it's easy now for our kids to have a relationship with their phone. It's the illusion that they have a lot of friends and a lot of relationships, but actually they're just talking to a piece of plastic. And in the end, they may wind up alone in their room and isolated. And so I think it's important for parents to have a healthy working relationship with their kids and to be able to talk to their kids about the world that they're in. One of the things I really stress is what I call the thinking state discussion, is for parents to be able to talk with their kids when they're kids and they are both in a thinking state, not in the emotional state, not angry. You're not trying to teach them a lesson. You're just trying to tune into where they are. The good news is, even a kid that's in middle school or high school will occasionally slip into a thinking state, and you've got to recognize it and be able to talk to them then.
Yeah, what do you mean a thinking state?
Well, a lot of times we do our parenting when we're angry. Our kids have done something and we're angry about it, and so we're talking to them when we're in the emotional state, and so that keeps them from listening because they go into the defensive state, right? So what I really stress is to be able to bring yourself into the thinking state to have a conversation with your kids. One of the best places is in the car when you're going to school or when you come home from school to just talk about things. You're not trying to teach them a lesson. You're trying to connect with them and see where they are. And I think that that's important. And to, one of the things that we stress a lot in Love and Logic is empathy. And you and I talked about that when we first met. It's the importance of empathy in our relationships. And I think Love and Logic is really based on empathy and being able to listen and being able to understand. And so that's what a thinking state discussion is all about.
Okay, that is so important because it's so easy to react to a kid's misbehavior. But if the parent, and I'm talking about myself, to realize what the child has been going through, especially during this last year and a half. But even before that, when kids are feeling unsure about themselves, a lot of self-doubt, trying to figure out where they fit in the scheme of things. Do they feel liked by other kids their age? Do they feel bullied? It is so important to put yourself in their place. It's tough. I wouldn't want to be a kid right now. And that's what that empathy is. It's kind of a heartfelt understanding of where they are so that you can help them through it. Yeah. Barry, do you have any special stories about some situations with parents and kids that you've dealt with over these many, many years?
Well, one thing that I see consistently, I do workshops a lot specifically for parents of tweens and teens, right? Kids that are in middle school, kids that are in high school. And the first night when we get together, it's nothing but problems. They're telling me all the problems that they have and the bad behavior from their kids, and the kids are having a tough time in school and all that. And at the end, their homework assignment before they come back for the second week is, I want you to have a thinking state discussion with one of your kids about something important, right? So you've got to plan for it. You've got to see when the best time is it. And by the time you get back next week, I want you to be able to tell me how it went. When they come back for week 2, it's amazing the transformation if they really try to do that homework. If they really drop in and have a thinking state discussion, they find out what is behind the behavior, what their kids are really firing at, why their kids are struggling in school. And so I think that's where I really like to get moving, is in the relationship aspect of parenting. The better our relationship is with our kids, the better they're going to behave around us. And I think that that's an important thing. It's important for parents, for us to take good care of ourselves as parents, and it's important to be able to drop in and talk to our kids in a realistic way about what's going on with them, and to not bring a lot of judgment to it, but to bring empathy and understanding to it.
Yeah, and that is so important, just hearing you talk about that. And that goes with all of our relationships, really. So you're having a conflict with somebody, and you don't know why in the world are they acting like this. And if you could begin to just kind of calm down and get the story and begin to look at it from a little bit more logical place, then it improves all relationships, don't you think?
I do. And one of the things I think that's important is the difference between acceptance and approval. There's a difference between acceptance and approval. Sometimes we don't approve of what our kids are doing, right? We don't like their behavior. We don't approve of their behavior, but we still accept them, right? We still love and accept them, even though we might not approve of their behavior. To me, it's what you just mentioned about with a friend. If you were going to go out with a friend for a cup of coffee and they're having a tough time with one of their relationships or something, you don't have to approve of what they're doing, but you accept them as a friend, and you care about them as a friend, and you're willing to listen to them as a friend. And I think that that's That's a big part of parenting. We have to set limits and we have to set boundaries. Sometimes we have to set consequences for our kids. That's just part of the deal. But I think it's important that they know that they're accepted and loved as they're experiencing their consequences.
Yeah, and having more and more dialogue with our kids is so important. You know, and even getting their opinion about something. Like the
Sure.
state of the world right now. What do you think about climate change? Or what's going on politically, or what's going on in school itself? Okay, with all the confusion about vaccines and masks and all that stuff, to just find out what are they thinking. Because what you're doing is honoring them as a human being. That they have good ideas, and sometimes they have better ideas than we do about what the next step is and what we should be doing as a society. So it's so important. Uh, do you see the children during the parenting workshops, or just the parents?
I mainly work with the parents. I mean, sometimes I work with kids, but not too often. It's mainly me working with the parents. I've been around a lot of kids in, you know, in my youth director days, and also being a children's entertainer. I got to spend a lot of time around kids. But in my work, it's mainly about the parents, because I think that's where the problem lies. Really, is with parents, and we bring a lot of stuff with us from our own parents and from our own background. I usually ask people in the workshop, have you ever heard yourself saying something and you heard your mother jumping out of your mouth? And almost every person nods their head like that. Yeah, I never thought I would say that. I used to hate that when my mother said that. Now I'm saying it too. And I think a big part of learning as a parent is, we don't get an instruction manual for how to be a parent. We just kind of wander in, and really the only models that we had are our own parents. So unless we really look into it and think about it, and that's what I like about the workshop, because people get to interact with other parents and stuff like that. We can bring ourselves into the present instead of just dragging all the stuff from our own parents with us, because our parents did stuff right, but it was in a different time. I think one of the things that's really interesting about the time that we're in is how much fear is a part of our parenting. Most of us, I'm sure you and I grew up in the same time, that you spend a lot of your time outside and your parents didn't know where you were, right?
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time outside. Your parents didn't know where you were. I spent hours and hours, days outside, just playing with my friends, playing baseball, going to the park. And you came home for meals, and when the street light comes on, come on home. And our parents didn't have a lot of fear. And now in one generation, that all changed. That all changed. And it used to be that you had to drag kids inside. Now you have to drag kids outside. And I think parents have to be conscious of how much the world has changed because of fear and electronics combined together. And I really encourage parents to get their kids outside. And the only way they're going to get out there is if the parents take them out there.
Absolutely. Playing. I think kids want their parents, they really do want their parents to be involved in their play activities, and
Yeah.
yeah, I always considered myself to be, I majored in play when I was a kid. The moment I was up, my little friends from across the street were standing at the foot of my bed waiting for me to wake up so we could dash out the
Mhm.
door and go play, and
Yeah.
we created things, we built things, and, I'm probably a wee bit older than you, but life was good, and there weren't those kind of fearful things of a kid getting kidnapped, or all those things that are surely troublesome for parents. But you brought up something that I want to just emphasize, that parenting is a community. The fact that parents can come together and share their struggles with their kids, get feedback from other parents, it gives them a sense of strength and understanding that, first of all, they're not the only one having difficulty, and they can help each other, and that's one of the things that I really encourage in my own medical practice, is getting together in a community, in a group setting, to help each other. We're all in this together at some place, and certainly parents are. So,
That's
um,
absolutely. I think that's one of the things that kids have missed in the last year is
mm,
there's a struggle because they haven't been together physically. And now the kids are getting back into school. I've talked to a lot of teachers who said it's strange. Kids don't know what to do. They're having trouble getting back together again because it's been virtual. Now they go back to school and they've got masks on and they've got hair down over their face and they've got hoods on and so uh, being able to interact with each other is something that we're relearning, and we've got to actively be working on it. And I think that parents really need to encourage it with their kids to be able to develop meaningful relationships, meaningful in-person relationships.
yeah, because there's nothing like being with another person and you get their energy and their feedback from their expression on their face, the tone in their voice, their body movements. And yeah, it's like we've put all of our kids in a little bubble, and now we're putting them out back into the world, and all of a sudden they're supposed to know how to act. I had a teacher last week say that she started back into her classroom and she said the kids really don't know how to act, and so they're acting
Yeah,
out many times because they're kind of lost. So
yeah,
I, I'm a pediatrician and I've loved kids from the moment I became a pediatrician. And I was always very observant of parents and how they were treating their children when they would come into the office. And what you said earlier about parents saying things that they probably was said to them by their parents right in front of me. And it was like, whoa, let's just calm down here. He's not a bad person because he doesn't want me to look in his ears. He's just a kid. Let's go about this in a different way. So I think that it's a part of being a mature human being to realize that our kids need us. They need us so much, and they need us maybe more now than they ever have, because they need to have some sense of being centered and standing on solid ground instead of being up in the air all the time. So your work is so important. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to have you here, because, we have a group of people on our Facebook page here from all over the world. And it's kind of fun. Hopefully, if somebody is online right now and they have any questions, they can put it in the comment section and we can talk about it. Otherwise, this will be recorded when we're all done. But is there anything else that you think? I think we're all parents. First of all, we're parenting ourselves and we're parenting each other in a way. Okay. We're being a guide, a mentor to so many people in our life. What would you say, maybe two or three things that are really important right now for all of us to hear?
well, I would say number one for me is resilience for our kids. I think kids need resilience to know that they can bounce back. This is a tough time that they're going through. It's a tough time we're all going through, but we're going to be able to handle it. People have always gone through tough times. This is the one
Yeah.
that we've got, and our kids need to have the message that they can handle it. And I think that
Yeah.
that's good parenting. That's good parenting. And so uh, sometimes our kids make mistakes. And one of the things that I think that's really important for parents to realize that mistakes are a good thing. Usually in the first night of my workshop, I have people repeat after me. We want our kids to make lots of mistakes. We want our kids to make lots of mistakes because that's how we learn. And we want our kids to be willing to try things, to try new things, and to have a good enough self-concept about themselves that they know that they can bounce back if something doesn't go right. And I think that that's a big part in terms of relationships and getting back to school. And they feel clumsy about it, and uh, we want to encourage them to keep doing it. And the other thing I just want to bring back the thing about the online world. For young boys, it's gaming, And for young girls, it's about social media and Instagram, and they need a sense of balance. They need a sense of balance, and the parents are going to have to provide it, right? And talk about it, but also provide it and provide opportunities for kids to get outside and do other things. And the parents are going to have to lead the way. And it's important. It's really important thing to have a balance between the virtual world and the real world. Even if the parents work online, they've still got to get themselves outside and get their kids outside too. So that's always a crusade for me. I think it's important, that we go camping or we go skiing or we play tennis or we ride bikes, whatever it is, we got to get outside with our kids.
Yeah, that is very important, very critical, I think. So, and it increases their health, their physical health, their mental health, and their emotional health, and their spiritual health too. Being out in nature
Yeah.
is an opportunity to have gratitude for the absolute awesome world we live in. So there's just so much, isn't there? It should
Sure.
not be boring to be a parent or boring to be a kid. There's just life is just so vital. And, I know you are vital all the time. And your sense of humor, you haven't said anything funny yet, Barry.
It's all funny.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Well,
Tom, is there any, go ahead.
well,
Go
one of the
ahead.
things that has Tom got something?
I wanted to see if there was any questions or comments. I don't see them.
No questions.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, just the balance we were talking about the online thing, but also the willingness that sometimes we do have to set consequences for our kids. And I think one of the things that is difficult for parents is they don't want to be viewed as mean by their kids. And they're not being mean when they're setting consequences. If they set those consequences with empathy, and if the empathy comes first, then they're not going to be viewed as mean. Their kids might not like it, but they're going to understand it better if empathy comes with it.
Right. And it's always start with something positive before you go
Yeah.
to the mistake or the misbehavior. Just say, you're a great kid. I love you very much. But when you did that, that was whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's called
Yeah.
always start with the positive. So now you've got a workshop coming up, and I want Tom to put that in the comment. Can you tell us what it is?
I've got yeah, I've got a workshop with elementary school kids that's happening that you can go to my website, barryebert.com, and find out about it. It's an online thing, but you can find out about it there.
Okay, Tom, can you put that on? Because I don't think I can. barryebert.com, so that people, there you go, right there. So barryebert.com. And that's where
Yeah, if you got questions.
schedule. Yeah, they can schedule a consultation with you also, can't they?
Yeah, ask questions or schedule. I do parent coaching there too. That's a big thing that I do, and so yeah, that's there. But I just like doing it. It's fun, and the other thing I would say is that we can take control of technology in our homes. We're still in charge of it. It wasn't that long ago that I raised my kids, and we didn't have any video games, and we went for 10 years with no cable.
Wow.
So it's possible.
Yeah, it is possible.
It's possible.
It's like getting kids to eat healthy food. You get healthy food in the house, and that's what they eat. So if you don't want them constantly, they don't need to have 3 iPads and 4 iPhones, and make it reasonable.
And people can turn in their phones at night. If the parents turn in their phones at night, the kids will turn in their phones at night. If the parents stay off of their devices at night, the kids will stay off them too. And so I think the parents really need to lead the way. It's about modeling. And we've never been here before, but we can handle this.
Yeah. And that's the good news. Yeah, parents can become
Okay.
resilient and help their children be resilient in all ways. So that's great.
Absolutely.
Gosh, Barry, this has been
Absolutely.
so much fun, and I just really appreciate your willingness to come and chat with us for a bit. And you know, when we all work together for the good of our children, the children are going to thrive. So thank you so much for all that you do, and hope maybe we can do this again some other time in whatever way seems appropriate. Okay.
All right. Thanks again. Good talking with you.
Okay.